Why do you spend your time teaching people how to talk to other people? That's a question I got recently from one of the readers of my newsletter. We were having an email exchange, and this person was telling me what their challenges were, and I was responding with some suggestions or ideas, and the person's response was, "This is great, but I see you have a day job. You look like you've got a lot going on. Why are you spending your free time talking to people and telling them how to grow their networks?" And it made me realize I've never really talked about my story in these videos or in the newsletter. I've never really given you a glimpse of who I am. I think that's useful for you because if you know who I am and where I'm coming from, it might help you try some of the things I'm recommending. It's easy to listen to the things I say and think, who's this guy? Why is he credible? Why should I listen to him? Why should I try this? I think anything you see online, you should approach with a certain healthy degree of suspicion. Maybe suspicion's not the right word. Skepticism. You should look at what people are telling you and really evaluate whether it's going to work for you. And part of that is, who's it coming from and why are they doing it? I want to share a little bit about why I do this to give you a little more confidence in what I'm saying. The number one reason why I show up every week and create a newsletter, create these videos, create the podcast, put posts out every weekday on LinkedIn is I was somebody who always wanted to have a network and never knew how to do it. And it was okay for a lot of years to think that and never do anything about it until the first time I lost my job. There were opportunities throughout my early career to try to network and meet people for other job opportunities, but I was doing it the way everybody else tells you to do it, or the way most people tell you to do it. It's find an event, get prepared, go make some small talk, try to connect with some people, follow up. Hopefully you network that way. That's all I ever knew. That's what I thought networking was. I thought you had to be able to be a great conversationalist, be somebody that could just have some icebreakers, some openers, some one-liners to get the conversation going, and then you talked to people and you talked about what you were working on, and then you connected with people and then you networked. That's what I thought it was. And I hated that. I never wanted to do that. It's just not me. It doesn't feel authentic. And when you don't like to do something, you don't do it. In 2012, I lost my job. And this is something I've written about in my book, and I've talked about it a lot, and you'll see posts about this. At the time it happened, I had no idea what I was going to do. I did what everybody else did. I got my resume ready and started applying for jobs online, and really had heard you need to get out and network. But again, I didn't know what that meant. What I started doing was something that felt safe to me, which was to reach out to the colleagues that I had worked with that didn't work in the same place anymore. And I don't know why I did that. I don't know if somebody suggested that. It just felt comfortable. It was low risk because the people would respond and they would talk to me, and at least we'd have a conversation. And if anything, it was therapy. It felt like things aren't as bad. You'll get on your feet. Don't worry about it. But what I found is through those conversations, I got a lot of good ideas and advice from those people, and they really actually helped me out. As I went through it, I started to realize that could be considered networking as well. And as I found another job through networking, through applying and through interviewing, I had to do all the normal job search things, but there was a big piece of this that was related to networking. then it dawned on me that this is what networking can be as well. It doesn't have to be what you hear everybody else tell you. And at the time, this was now 12 years ago, I wasn't thinking, oh, you've got to go show people how to be better networkers. But what I did tell myself is, I don't ever want to be in the position of not having a network again. Meaning, I wasn't going to get a job and then just stop connecting with people. Because I really found that I enjoyed those conversations with people. And I actually had the opportunity to help another person get a job exactly when I was getting a job. And the way it worked is I had been networking, talking to people, and this person was looking for a job as well. At the same time, had lost his job, and he told me what he was interested in, told me what he was looking for. And as I was doing my networking and meeting people, I was staying on the lookout to help him. And this was just somebody I met through networking. We didn't have a long-standing relationship, but we sat down and had a conversation. He seemed like a person I would want to help. And the situation presented itself where right when I got my job offer, I got contacted by another company, and they said, hey, we'd really like to consider you for this role. And they had found me because of somebody I had been networking with. And I said, that's great. I'm flattered you called me, but I actually just accepted a role. However, I know somebody who perfectly fits what you just described for the role. And I referred them to my friend who I met during networking, and he went through the whole process and he got the job. And he would have never heard about that job if I hadn't given them his name. They wouldn't have found him. And he got a job. And I was more excited about him getting that job because I referred him and I had networked around and the networking had worked and got him that job. I was more excited about him getting the job than I was about my own job. I was happy to have a job. I was happy that it had worked out, but I was excited that I'd helped this guy get a job. And that experience of being able to help other people through networking was what got me more excited about continuing to network. As I got into my new role, I kept in touch with a lot of the people I met through the process, the job search process. I kept in touch with a lot of colleagues. When people would leave the organization I was in, I would keep in touch with them. I would try to help them out. And over the years, my network continued to grow in terms of, I guess, not in numbers, but I would say in depth, because I kept relationships with a lot of the people I met. And as I kept those relationships, more opportunities presented themselves. And honestly, for me, after a few years at the job I was at, another opportunity came through my network to change jobs. And I stayed at that job for a little while, and another opportunity came to change jobs, and I moved on. And then a third opportunity came along. And to be honest, there were times I was looking, sometimes I wasn't, but you're always, if you're saying yes to a new job, you're looking, whether you're actively looking or not. Over and over again, I saw how the networking was helping me. And as I was networking, I was helping other people, and I saw how it was helping them. I got to this point where I started thinking I could help people by sharing what I've learned and what I know. And I get that feeling that I got when I helped that individual get that job at the very, same time I was looking for a job. I got a good feeling from helping him and having people say to me, hey, that stuff you told me, those suggestions, that really worked. Like, I didn't think that was going to work, but when you told me to reach out to these people, when you told me to just have an easy conversation, when you told me to help them out or look for ways to give to them, and when you told me to create this target list to be easy to help, when you told me all these things and that I have to do it on a frequent basis, I have to make it a habit. When you told me all that stuff, it actually worked. And I've had people tell me that over time, so that I got more confident that this wasn't just something that worked for me. And especially work for people who are like me, people who don't want to go to events, people who don't want to cold call people, who don't want to send random emails. Some people don't mind that. That's fine. My way is not the only way. I'll acknowledge that. There's a lot of ways to network, and mine is not the only way. But for people who are like me, it's definitely a lot more comfortable. That's the reason why I do this. And over time, I started with LinkedIn posts, and then I thought, well, how can I do more? And I wrote the book 4 years ago because I thought it would be a great way to get this out in the world. People will read books about networking. And then I've created courses. I started the newsletter almost 2 years ago, coming up 2 years here in a couple months. All different ways to try to get more of this into the world, because people who come across it say, this really helped me. And that's what I'm trying to do. That's why I do this. I am going to be totally honest with you. I would love it if this could be my full-time job and I was earning a full-time income from this. I'm not there yet, and I'm trying to get there, and I'm trying to find a way to get there. So when you hear me do things and you see me doing this, I am doing this to help people. I'm also trying to help myself at some point here. I don't know when that's going to be. I don't know if that's ever going to happen. But the fact of the matter is, I don't need to get paid to show up and do this every week. It's something I enjoy. It's something I love to do. It's my, call it a passion project or whatever you want to call it, but it's the thing that I get excited about doing every week because it's helping other people. It's my gift to the world. It's a thing that I can do to try to put a dent in the universe. That's why I do it. That's why I show up. That's why I give the tips I give, and I try to help people. And the reason why I'm telling you this is I want you to understand where I'm coming from, so that when you look at the information I give you, you're thinking, I know a little bit about this guy who calls himself the Introverted Networker, and I feel like I can give it a shot, and I feel like I could reach out to him with my questions, with my problems, with my challenges, and I'm going to get some sort of an answer from him. So that's what I want to share with you this week. I hope this gives you a little more confidence in the other issues of the newsletter or the other videos you're watching from me or my book or anything else. That I'm doing this because I want to help people. I'm doing this because I think this is something people need help with, and it's just my little corner of the world. So thank you for showing up. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. If you haven't already, please do subscribe either to the channel or to the newsletter. Listen to the podcast. I'm here every week. I'm just trying to teach introverts to be better networkers. So this week, I hope you have a great week. Go out, meet some interesting people, and remember, always be connecting.